Hey, it's Nick, and you may have seen some of the paint blobs that I made online. Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own paint blob at 3 different price points. Let's get started. To make the most economical version of our paint blob, we're going to start with craft paint that I got at the art store. This cost about $2. Sometimes you can get it cheaper. This paint is pretty cheap, but it's also pretty thin. You can see it's not going to hold its shape like we want a paint blob to do. So we're going to have to mix it with something else. And we're going to use lightweight spackling. You don't have to use this brand, but it will give a nice body to your paint blob and still look like paint and mix in really well. This cost about $5, and it's big enough that you could make multiple paint blobs with it. So to mix up our thicker paint, I'm going to scoop out some of this spackling and put it into our cup with the acrylic paint. You don't need to use a fancy cup. You can just use anything you have lying around. You'll see that when I mix it up, it accepts the color really well and makes a nice thick paste. Once you have your paint mixture all stirred together, you're going to want something to put it on that is not going to stick to or make a big mess. So I'm just going to use plastic sheeting. You can get this at the hardware store for a couple dollars, and I'm just going to cut a tiny square off. So it's probably 20 cents worth of plastic. You can also use foil or parchment paper. The paint tends to stick to paper though, so just so you know. Okay, I have my sheet of plastic that I'm going to put the paint blob onto. Now you have a couple options on how to make a paint blob. You can just scoop the paint and plop it down. That's one way. Or you can put it in a piping bag. For this one, I'm just going to plop it down. So I'm just going to scoop out a nice big amount and then just plop it right onto the plastic. Obviously, it's your art. You get to make it how you want. You can smooth it out. You can leave it rough. You can kind of, make it have hair like this if you want. There's lots of fun options. Since this is going to be our most economical blob, I wanted to find a cheaper option for the eyes that I normally use. So I went to the craft store and I just got some googly eyes. These are about $2 for the bag, and there's 96 pieces. So you get a ton of eyes for very cheap. And if you're using just 2 eyes, that brings the price down very low. So let's add some eyes. Okay, we got our blob shaped and we have eyes, and now we're going to do teeth. I like to put the teeth right in the center of the eyes, but you get to decide how you like. Next, I'll show you the teeth that I use, but they're a little more expensive. So the first way to make teeth is to just use a piece of paper. You can literally just cut out a small rectangle and make a little incision in the middle. So it kind of looks like a pair of pants. And if you want to, you can shape the top a little bit. And then we're just going to shove it into the blob. And here you go, we made our first blob. All the supplies for this cost about $10 total, and you could probably make 3 or 5 blobs depending on the size. Okay, the first paint blob is done, and now I'm going to show you the second option. These are all the things that I use in my paint blobs in my videos. Okay, so the first thing we need is the paint, and this is not sponsored, but I use Gaffrey Art Material Heavy Texture Acrylic Paint. It comes in a pretty big tube. This is the, I think, 32-ounce variety. It comes in 16, 32, and I think you can even get a giant tub of it. This costs about $25. It depends on the color of paint you get. Some of them are slightly cheaper and some of them are more, I assume, based on the pigment they're using. But this tube could easily make 10 paint blobs if they're like kind of standard size. So it's really not a crazy price. Okay, the second thing you need for making a paint blob is something to put it on. Again, I'm going to use this little sheet of plastic. A lot of times in my videos I use like the plastic divider that you get for like a binder. But any sort of plastic really works. That's probably the least important part. Okay, I've already used this tube of paint before, but all you need to do is just cut the tip off with a pair of scissors, and I just squirt it right out of here. You can see that if I apply a little pressure, it's ready to come out. So I just go like this, and I squish it onto the plastic. For this blob's eyes, I'm going to use the standard eyes that I use in a lot of blobs, which are these tiny doll's eyes I buy on Amazon. There are 100 in this little package, so they're about 10 cents each, 20 cents if you use two, and they're pretty nice quality. For this blob, I decided to pick one blue eye and one green eye. Now that we added the eyes for our blob, it's time to add some teeth. These are the teeth that I use in pretty much all of my blobs. I also buy these on Amazon, and they come with sets of like upper and lower molars and upper and lower front teeth. So I'm going to take this set of front teeth and then we'll squish it into the paint. Okay, we have our second paint blob finished. You can see this is the style that I usually use in my videos. With this thick paint, you can see how well it holds its shape. The total costs for all of the supplies for this blob are about $45, but the per blob cost is actually pretty low because you get a lot of paint, a lot of teeth, and a lot of eyes. Okay, we completed 2 different blobs at 2 different price points. For the third blob, these are not the materials I use normally, but I wanted to see what you could do with the most professional materials you could easily get. So I got professional acrylic paint. This generally costs $13 for this color. Obviously, paint can range in price and in amount. This is only 2 ounces of paint though, so it's really not enough to make a good blob. So we're going to mix it with modeling paste. This modeling paste is 16 ounces, but it costs $36. So we're going to mix this and this together to make our paint mixture. Okay, I added the acrylic paint to the modeling paste and now I'm going to mix it up. As usual, we're going to need a piece of plastic to put it on. I'm still using the same cheap plastic I did before. And this time, instead of plopping it on, I'm going to put the paint into a piping bag and pipe it on. Piping bags are used for piping frosting onto cakes and cookies. You can get a set of these for about $10 for like 50 of them. I'm going to put all of the paint into the piping bag. Once I got all the paint in the bag, I'm going to squeeze it. And I'm going to cut the tip of the piping bag off with a pair of scissors. I'm going to pipe the final blob onto the sheeted plastic. For the final blob, I'm going to use these bigger eyes. They cost $14 for 2 pairs on Amazon. So it's about $7 just for this blob in eye cost. Obviously, if you want to go crazy, you could get real glass eyes, which are hundreds of dollars. But these will do for today. So I'm gonna squish them in. These eyes are very nice though. They have this corneal bulge and really nice coloring and kind of translucency too. For the teeth, I'm just gonna use the same teeth I used last time. I feel like these are some of the best fake teeth you can buy. Obviously, you could get human dentures if you want to be super realistic and super expensive. But for today, this will do. And there you go, we're done with blob number 3. All the materials for this blob would cost about $70, but you don't get as many materials, so you'd only be able to make a couple blobs for $70. It's been 11 days since I made these blobs. Let's see how dry they are. Okay, the first one, it's mainly dry, but a little bit of the underside is still wet. I would probably just flip it upside down and let it continue drying. The next one is almost completely dry except for just the center. So I would do the same thing. I would just let it sit upside down for a couple more days. For this being solid paint, that's pretty good dry time. And finally, we have the most expensive blob with the most expensive paint, and this one has barely dried, only the outside is dry. To help it dry all the way, I would turn it upside down because the outside is fully dry, and just let it continue drying for a couple more days. Make sure you're careful with your finished paint blobs. You don't want to set them on expensive furniture or carpet or things before they're fully dry, and sometimes they can still be a little sticky even if they're fully dry. So just be careful and set them on a piece of felt or a little base, and you'll be all good. I hope you enjoyed learning some different ways to make blobs. Let me know in the comments if you tried any of these and what your dry times were, and if you have any suggestions of different things to try. And don't forget to go out and make something weird.